We start today with a tragic and disturbing story of senseless violence, a hate crime, it is being considered. A random 6-year-old boy, random really in every way other than he was a Muslim boy in Chicago, has been murdered by a man allegedly obsessed with the Hamas Israel conflict. The Associated Press reports Muslim boy killed and woman wounded in Illinois hate crime motivated by Israel Hamas war. An Illinois landlord accused of fatally stabbing a 6-year-old Muslim boy and seriously wounding his mother has been charged with a hate crime after police and relatives said he singled out the victims because of their faith and as a response to the war between Israel and Hamas. The article goes on to explain that authorities in cities and federally have been on high alert for violence driven by anti-Semitic or Islamophobic sentiments. FBI officials, Jewish and Muslim groups have reported an increase of hateful and threatening rhetoric. In the Chicago area case, officers found the 32-year-old woman, the mother, and the boy late Saturday morning in an area of Plainfield Township, 40 miles southwest of Chicago. Relatives and a Muslim civil liberties and advocacy group identified the slain boy as the wounded woman's son. The boy was pronounced dead at the hospital. The woman had multiple stab wounds, is expected to survive. The autopsy on the child showed dozens of stabbings. The sheriff's statement says detectives were able to determine that both victims in this brutal attack were targeted by the suspect due to them being Muslim and the ongoing Middle Eastern conflict involving Hamas and the Israelis. The man suspected in the attack was found outside the home, sitting upright on the ground in the driveway with a cut on his forehead, charged with first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, 2 counts of hate crimes, and aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. Joe Biden said that he is shocked and sickened and condemns the killing as any reasonable and normal person would. There are often among some in my audience questions about the significance and the purpose of hate crimes and hate crime enhancements. Why is it that a crime is more serious if it is a so-called hate crime? Sometimes one of the criticisms of hate crime laws are that it is in a sense saying, if you aren't targeted for a particular identity, then it's like less serious in some way. It devalues the attack on someone not targeted for their identity. I think that an example like this is really illustrative of what the whole point is. What are we talking about when we say a hate crime? When we say a hate crime, we are saying that it is actually an entire community that is, in a sense, being targeted. This was not a situation, as far as what we know, where the individuals that were targeted, the boy that was killed and the woman that was injured, they weren't being targeted because of anything about themselves as individuals with regard to what they did, their relationship to the attacker, or anything like that. They were targeted for reasons where other victims would have been just as good because they are Muslim, because of a religious identity. And so the reason why we can say, without devaluing an attack on anybody, the reason we can say that there is an extra level of seriousness here is that it is, in a sense, an attack on the entire Muslim community. And so the hate crime designation, these hate crime laws and enhancements do make sense. When someone is targeted, as people have been in the United States for decades, because they are gay, a gay bashing incident, regardless of the relationship between attacker and victim, it is, in a sense, an attack on all members of the LGBT community. And I would argue on their allies as well, people like me. And so the victims, in a sense, those made to live in fear and terrorized by such an attack, go beyond just the individual victim themselves. So I don't have any problem with the hate crime legislation or enhancements. In some cases, when the crime is so serious, it really doesn't make much of an operational difference when we're talking about something like murder. Absolutely disgusting incident. disgusting, senseless violence of the kind that achieves nothing. And it appears to be an individual who was extraordinarily radicalized by content that he was consuming. We'll learn where, but obsessed reportedly with the Hamas-Israel conflict.